Hello there, I'm Scottish Warrior 92 and welcome to the Warriors Amateur Anime Analysis. And in today's episode we're going to be looking at an anime classic that is considered to be the anime that brought anime to the West. Introducing Akira, or Akira as it's pronounced in the film. I'm going to be calling it Akira because that's what I've known it as. So firstly, let me get something out of the way. I had never seen Akira, but I'd heard of it. Prior to this review, I've only seen this Prior to this review and watching it for the review, I've never seen it. I've heard of it. I think almost anyone who considers them a casual anime fan or even a moderate anime fan can state that they've heard of this Akira, as a lot of people do hold it very high up in the anime list as being one of the greatest of all time and a must watch if you're an anime fan. Now, admittedly, as I said, I didn't watch it. I heard little bits and pieces of it. But, really, as I said, I'm going to have to sum up the story without spoilers, because it is spoiler-free. I've got a list of the characters here, because unfortunately, I'm very horrible with names. But basically, the story of Akira follows the group called the Capsule Gang, which is a biker gang set in a Neo-Tokyo, 30 years after a secret weapons project, basically secret weapons project destroyed the majority of Tokyo after World War III. Yes, in this one there was a World War III. That's going to happen eventually. But basically we follow two primary characters. We follow Kaneda and Setsuo. We follow these two characters primarily. First half of the film we're following Setsuo, and the second half we're following Kaneda. Now, basically what happens very early on the start is we're given the state of Neo-Tokyo, which basically is, it's government controlled, basically. The government near enough controls everything, and there is a rebellion faction. And so potentially this rebellion faction is trying to find out about a certain secret project that the government has been working on, and subsequently kidnapped a test subject who had psychic abilities, ability to read minds, ability to project kind of protective systems and all that. And subsequently, during another fight with another biker gang, Tetsuo subsequently stumbles across one of them and actually crashes headfirst into the subject, who is a little kid who looks like a very small old person, skin's very grey and wrinkled. Subsequently, basically his bike is destroyed and he's severely injured, but the child is virtually unharmed. But subsequently, as the rest of his gang, including Kaneda, show up, the government show up and take Setsuno and the kid away, and subsequently run tests on Setsuno as they find out that he has some latent psychic abilities and give him something to enhance his abilities. And subsequently, this causes him to go a little bit insane, and he starts hallucinating. And subsequently, this leads to him finding out about Akira, which is supposedly some kind of all-powerful thing that he wants. He wants it. And subsequently, after that, he basically goes apeshit and starts killing people left, right, and centre, and being power-hungry, basically. And subsequently, this leads to his friend Kaneda to basically try and stop him, and that's basically how I can sum up the story without going into any major detailed spoilers. But I'm going to say this right now, Akira is an anime I can't really describe. It's that kind of anime that you have to see it to believe it, and that's why I think a lot of people say, oh, you have to see Akira. I can't describe it to you, because even I can't describe it to you without going into extensive spoilers. And also, even then, I don't think I can get the right words to describe it to you. It's that kind of anime. Firstly, before I get into that, I will comment on the voice acting. As is, I watched the dubbed version, because I watch dubs. That's my thing. The dub's good, it's decent, not fantastic. Some of the voice acting is cringeworthy. But the majority of the actors do a very good job. But overall, as I say, it's not like Funimation quality dub. Even Funimation make a few mistakes here or there, but it's not the worst I've ever heard. It's average at best. There are some really bad ones, and there's some decent ones, and there's some good ones. Most of the main characters' voicing is done well, but as I say, a lot of characters are very cringeworthy, and even one or two of the main characters are bearable. But as I say, the overall voice acting is decent. As I say, it's very early anime dub, you can tell that. The animation for the time is still, even for now, is still really good. Certain style, it's the way it's looked, and I couldn't see any faults with it. There were a couple issues, I say, with certain scenes that looked a wee bit weird, but I think that was meant to be the case with this, because the psychic thing of this world, basically. And really, I'm going to be honest, like, as before I get into my opinion, that's basically what I can say about it as a professional review. As basically, animation's good, voice acting's average, but overall was it enjoyable for me. I liked it, but I didn't like it at the same time. Like, I can tell that this is the type of anime that everyone is going to see at one point in their life, because it's something you have to see to believe, as I stated earlier on, and it's that type of anime, you can't really describe it to someone. And that's why I think everyone says you have to watch it, and why a lot of people consider this the anime to be the anime of animes, the one that you have to watch before you see any other anime, because in some way, shape or form, I did a bit of research, Akira is a big part of why a lot of animes came over after it. As there were anime dolls beforehand, but Akira helped steamboat the way through and get a lot bigger ones of it. I've even heard people claim that if it wasn't for Akira, we wouldn't have a lot of other animes. We wouldn't have Dragon Ball Z coming over here. We wouldn't have had Fullmetal Alchemist over here. We wouldn't have had Sailor Moon over here. That's what some people consider Akira, that kind of anime, and how influential it was. And I can definitely see why. Not because it's an amazing, absolute fantastic anime, and in my opinion, I actually didn't like it that much. I said I liked some parts of it, but I didn't like other parts of it, and overall, I don't think I'll be watching it anytime soon. It's an anime you only watch once, in my opinion. But I can definitely see why, because this is the type of anime that you hear about, that everyone hears about. Like, oh my god, have you seen Akira? Have you seen fucking Akira? No, you have to fucking watch it. And either you get it alone after a friend, or you see it in a shop and you pick it up. Like, I'm very guilty of this. I'll walk into a DVD shop and I'll bump into a movie that I've heard of. I bump into the shop and I see this, The Rise of the Guardians. I'm like, I've heard good things about this. Fuck it, I'll pick it up. That's the kind of person I am, and I'm very guilty of that. And a lot of people are like that. Like, they'll look through a DVD selection and they probably stumble across it in the VHS section, because this was it when VHSs were like, Akira, my pal told me about this. I'll go check it out. And that's what this is, in my opinion. This is a DVD or a movie you'll stumble across and you're like, I've heard of this. I've heard a lot of good things from it. I'll pick it up. And in all honesty, you'll either love it or hate it. I think it's average. I enjoyed it overall, but as it is, not as much as I enjoyed other animes, and I'm not going to be watching it again. I can guarantee that. And that's why I want to talk about briefly, as it is, right? I want to talk about that briefly before I get into the message that this anime is trying to get across. Is I can see why a lot of people consider this the anime that brought anime to the West. It's because it's that type of anime I just said. It's the anime that everyone has heard about and everyone eventually will pick up and watch. And there's a reason for that. This is very... I can't really go into it without spoilers, but it has some very disturbing scenes in it. I'll say that right now. And it's something that you will cringe at. You're like, oh, okay. And that's kind of what puts me off it, in all honesty. There's a lot of stuff in here for no reason, in my opinion. There's not a bunch of it, but a good chunk of stuff is there for no fucking reason. Certain characters will die for no fucking reason. Like, where a character pops in, we're introduced very early on in the film. They're given a basic bare bones intro, and then you don't see them ever again until towards the end, where they kick the bucket. That's what this is, and I don't like that. I don't like when you do it, when any show does that. Just introduce a character like that, and at the start of the film, and then doesn't show up for the entire film, and at the end, boom, dead. I don't like that. I really don't. And it's just that as it is. There's a lot of scenes that I can't go into too much detail about because it is major spoilers, but it's just that kind of anime, in my opinion, that everyone will pick up and watch. Now, as I said, I'll talk briefly about the message. The message that Akira is trying to portray is that of basically greed, in my opinion. Not greed as in I want more money or I want more chocolate, but greed of power. And what humans are ready for. That's what it's trying to get across to me, in my opinion. And it shows that if power is given to the wrong person, such as Tetsuo, it can lead to anarchy, chaos, murder, death. Because a lot of people die in this. I'm not going to lie, a lot of people die in this. And mainly causes Tetsudo. Excuse me. And that's the message that's trying to get across, that if a human being was given this kind of power is nigh near onto a god. Not like life, not about death. The power of death is killing people at will just with a thought. How would that person handle it? And would they handle it well? That's the thing. And unfortunately, in this film, it's given to the wrong person. But then it also shows how that person, their friends and people who care about them, will actually do basically near enough the unthinkable and actually try and kill them to not only stop them, but to put them out of their misery in a way. And really, that's the message, in my opinion, that's trying to get across. And I'm going to be honest, it doesn't get across that well. Like, I've seen this kind of message in dozens, maybe even hundreds of different shows, movies, animes, and I've seen it done a lot better. Akira just doesn't do it as well as others have done it. Like, not in the past. I don't know. I can't think of any before Akira, but plenty after Akira have done a better job than that. And overall, the message gets very garbled, and you're like, okay, I see what message you're trying to go for, but I just don't get it. It's not done well. The message isn't portrayed exceptionally well. It's borderline insulting, in my opinion, but it's not that, as it's borderline, it's not insulting, but it feels kind of insulting in some ways. But it's just, I didn't get the message as much as other people maybe liked it. That's just my opinion. So, really, is there anything... So, as it says, I thought this was an okay anime. I don't think I'll be watching it ever again. And do I recommend anyone to watch it? As it says, everyone's going to watch this eventually. It's sort of like Star... I don't want to say like Star... It's sort of like Star Wars in that way. Everyone's fucking heard of Star Wars, and everyone will eventually watch Star Wars, and either you'll love it or you'll hate it. Akira is nothing like Star Wars, but it's got that kind of mentality, is that you've heard of it, you'll see it, you'll watch it, and you'll either like it or hate it. And I thought it was okay. I didn't like it, I didn't hate it, but it was mixed opinions. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack, because I do know that the Akira fan base is very big. There are a lot of people who hold this anime very near and dear to their heart, because it's the anime that introduced them to anime, that after watching it, they were like, oh, I need more of this shit. But, as I said, this isn't the anime that introduced me to anime. The anime that introduced me to anime, I'm trying to think, was Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and that was basically the three that they were the three that got me, and I hold all three of them near and dear to my heart. But so I know that feeling. I know that feeling of like that anime that you watch that made you go, I have to see more of this shit. And that's the way I am now. After watching Fullmetal Alchemist a year or two ago, I've been on an anime binge. I've been watching more and more anime. I've been watching more anime in the past year than I've ever watched in my entire life, I'll be honest. And that's kind of why I wanted to do these reviews, because after watching Fullmetal Alchemist, I ended up going on an anime binge, and that's what eventually led me to watching this. So I'm not saying that if you like this, you're wrong. Because you're not wrong, it's just my opinion is different than yours. And I know that this is very near and dear to a lot of people's heart, and a lot of people love this. A lot of people say they could watch this a million times and never get bored of it. But in my honest opinion, I can only watch this once, because after that, I'm just like, okay, next anime. So I see why a lot of people hold this on a pedestal. A lot of people are like, this is the anime of animes. In my opinion, this isn't anywhere near the anime of animes. There's no such thing as the anime of anime, in my opinion, because everyone has different opinions. Some people may consider this the anime of anime, some people may consider Yu-Gi-Oh! The anime of animes. It comes down to opinions. And did I like it? I thought it was okay, so that's it. So I know that a lot of people hold this near and dear to their heart, but I just thought it was okay. It hadn't stood up to the test of time in some aspects. And I can definitely tell you that I don't need to tell anyone to watch this, because everyone, even if you're a partial anime fan, will pick this up and will watch it. I guarantee it. I guarantee that every single person who's watched this who's never seen Akira, eventually you will watch it. I guarantee it, because you'll get friends that will say that are you an anime fan and says, have you ever seen Akira? If you say no, they will either give you a copy of it or tell you to watch it. They won't give you a fucking choice. So I'm telling you this. If you do consider yourself an anime fan, Akira is worth a watch because you get to see where anime was, especially the dub, back in, I think this was in the 80s, yeah, 1987. You get to see where animes come from, because I can tell you right now, after watching this, I have learned a lot in the way that how anime has evolved and how it has come. Like, this is a okay anime at best, and it led the way to maybe a lot of other animes coming this way, and I'm glad for that fact. So I don't think do I think Akira shouldn't exist? No, Akira should exist. It exists for a reason, because it's that it helped bring interest to anime. I'm going to say, I know that. I'm not denying that. But as I say, it's a good watch for that reason. And that's why I think a lot of people say if you consider yourself an anime fan, you have to watch it, because you will learn a bit about anime as you watch it. And I'm definitely saying that that's why I say if you can, watch it, but don't feel like you have to be pressured to watch it. So I think that's all I've got to say on it. So I do know that this has had an impact and has earned its place in the history of Western anime, like dubs. It has earned its place, like in the way that how it brought anime to the West. So I definitely agree in that aspect. But as I say, it's not a fantastic anime. It's not a horrible anime. It's an okay one that, in my opinion, has some pointless scenes and pointless deaths, and you're just like, that's okay. I'll go and check out something else. So yeah, that's all I've got to really say on that. And I definitely say that, as I say, it's an anime that you'll eventually watch. I'm not going to say go watch it or don't watch it. Everyone's going to watch it eventually. So I think that's all I've got to say on Akira. I know that I could say 1,000 more things, but I'd have to go into extreme spoilers about it. So, Akira, okay. I thought it was okay. Message is a bit in my opinion. But I definitely see its place in history. So I'm not saying it doesn't deserve its place. It kind of does. So, that's about it. Now, we'll dive into the bag. And we shall pick out the next one. And the next anime that we are watching and reviewing, well, analysing is, well, it looks like we're going Ghibli, people. Howl's Moving Castle. I guess we'll have to see if Mr. Bale is a good dubber. Tune in next time. I'll see you all later. Ciao for now.